Hey, what's up? What's going on? This is your boy Al, aka Fishing with Big Al, and we're gonna talk about it, man. Get right into it. I just want to throw pros and cons of fishing at a jetty and fishing at a surf. Okay, let's get straight to it because we don't have a lot of time. I don't want to burn minutes. I just want to keep your attention to what the pros and cons of fishing at a jetty is to me. Real quick, if you have something about your pros and your cons, if you know about jetty, you know about surf, add it to the comment section. Add something to it. If I did not say it, add something to it that you think is a pro and a con of fishing a jetty and a surf. Which one do you like? Do you like jetty fishing first? Do you like jetty fish or do you like surf fishing first? Do you like both? Do you go to the jetty for a certain reason? Do you go to the surf for a certain reason? So let's get right into it, man. Me, myself, I'm going to say, if I am fishing and I know I'm fishing, then it's a no-brainer. I'm going to the jetty because the jetty holds all types of fish. We talking red drum, black drum, flounder, mangrove snapper, kings, Spanish max, shark when they're available. Black tips do come through there. Let's see what else. Croaker when they're coming through. Sheep's head when they're running. So everything is available at the jetty. Whereas at the surf, you do a lot of target fishing. So we talking about the pros of each. The surf would have to be, to me, target fishing. We're talking about pompano. We're talking about sharks when people are going to the sharkathons, things like that. These are two of the biggest right here. Anybody know about pompano and anybody know about the sharks? These are two of your biggest target fish that you go to the surf for, that you actually catch. The other thing about the surf, like I said, you can get the red drum, you can get the black drum, you get the whiting, you can get, let's see, as far as keeper fish. Now, I've never seen mangrove caught at the surf. I've never seen that. I have seen a croaker caught. You can get some croaker at the surf that will come, that's available to you when they're running. Sometimes you can get them. Also, the sheep's head. When the sheep's head are running, they're all over the place. The surf is another place where you can stand to some sheep's head too if you want to keep catching them. So that's a plus. The con of fishing at a jetty, though, is this. On the weekend, it can get really crowded. You know what I'm saying? It's crowded. So that is a con of me. Too much of a crowd at the jetties. The pro side of it, though, is safety reasons. If something was to happen to you at the jetty, people are going to know. They're going to see it. They're going to know that something's not right with the person that they see that could be in a medical situation. Whereas if you're at the surf is different. People go to the surf for different reasons. Sometimes people go to the surf to read, and they could be in their vehicle reading. And if they're in their vehicle reading and you driving by, you're not thinking to stop because you see that person in their vehicle, right? Now, if they're laying out on the beach where it look like they're laying by the edge of the water and you can see water going around them, then that's a problem. Okay, now you know that. But the other thing at the beach, sometimes people can be laying out at the beach and you won't know that what they're laying out, that they could be in a situation. It could happen while they were laying out that something happened to them. But a lot of times at the surf, we just keep on riding by. So that's a con right there as far as safety reasons, right? Especially when people like myself, I go fishing a lot of places by myself. If I'm at the jetty, I'm around people. But if I go to the surf, 9 times out of 10, I will be there by myself because my fishing is different. When I go fishing, I'm there, and if something's not happening, I will pack up, boom, I'm moving down to another spot. That's why I do a lot of fishing by myself because I'm never guaranteed just to stay in one spot. So that is my pro of myself when it comes to fishing. That is what I love about the surf, that I have a lot of area that I can work with. And a lot of times, man, people go fishing at the surf and they set up shop and they're not ready to leave. So me, myself, that's why I tell people in a heartbeat, hey, I'm going down here. I'll be back. I'm out. And that's what I'll do. I will leave because I'm fishing. That's what I'm doing. I'm not, it is what it is. Another pro, though, of the jetty is this. If you're looking for bait during the months when bait is really running, you don't have to spend any money if you know what you're doing. If you know how to throw a cast net, you save so much money by catching your own bait. A lot of people go to the bait houses and they say, hey, man, they see the mullet flags, they see the live perch flag. And this ain't blasting nothing about the bait houses because people don't know how to do it. So I'm not taking anything from them. They know this already. But for people that know how to throw cast nets, if you know how to throw a cast net, then you're going to save so much money. The only thing you got to spend money on is your gas, drinks, I guess if you need whatever hooks or whatever you need, but you don't have to use it on bait. Everything except bait you spend money on. That's it. I just leave it in a nutshell. So that's a pro. When the bait is all over the place and you know I throw a cast net, it's a no-brainer. You're going to have plenty of bait. Now, if you need shrimp, that's different. If you want to fish for shrimp, then that's what you're going to the bait house for. But if you're saying, hey, I just need some mullet and I got my live well or whatever, if you know I throw a cast net, then get your mullet right there and you're good. So that's a plus. Whereas the surf, when you're fishing at the surf, you 9 times out of 10, you can get mullet and you can catch it, but it's not as easy and fast as it is when you're going to the jetties, comparing it to the surf. The surf, if they're there, they're there. A lot of times you can get there early enough and be able to get you some, but a lot of times you don't see a lot. You just don't. So that's why the surf, for me, the plus is always the fish bites. I have more damage using this brand of bait called fish bites at the surf than I do at the jetties. So that's my pro part of when I'm going to the surf. I take fish bites and I will use those. They have all the flavors you need: shrimp, crab, sand flea. Do they have anything else? Squid. I think they got a squid brand as well. I think I saw that. Don't quote me on it, but I think I've seen that as well. If they do, I have never used that, but I know the sand flea, I use that for pompano. I use the shrimp, different colors, especially electric chicken. Electric chicken is the best out of all of them. So that's my pro when it comes to the surf fishing. I just use fish bites, use a special rig, whether it's a Carolina rig. Pretty much I use a single drop, 5 ounce, 6 ounce weight, and that's what I use. Now, when I fish into the I fish into the guts, then I go to a 3, and I can get away with just using a 3 ounce weight in the guts, and that's what I fish with. And I use a fish bite, so I use a shrimp, and I get the black drum. So, like I said, going back, the pros of fishing with a jetty is everything is there. When you're going to the surf, everything can be there, but it may not be available like it would be at the jetty. Everything's at the jetty. Don't give me everything's at the jetty. Now, the other con of fishing at a jetty is you can lose a lot of tackle. That is a con. You can lose a lot of tackle. If the fish are biting and you got your line out there too long and nothing hits your line, 9 times out of 10, more than likely, you're going to be either hung up, right? Or you're going to have so much foul that you're going to cross somebody's line because the current is pushing. And if the fish don't respond fast enough, you're going to jump and you're going to travel on top of somebody, which I call a blow down. It's going to blow your line down and it's going to put it on top of somebody else's line and it's going to get all tangled up, twisted, and then you have to, get each other loose and stuff like that. A lot of traffic on the weekends when it comes to the jetty. So that's a con right there. You have to, no matter if you get there early enough, getting there early is fine. I mean, you got yourself a spot. But what's going to happen is people are going to come. And when they do come, it doesn't matter. They're fishing. So they're going to jump right next to you. They're going to see where you cast at. They're going to try to avoid you and stuff like that. But 9 times out of 10, it doesn't happen. Nobody avoids anybody. So yeah, we just deal with it, especially if we know the fish are running. If the fish are running, then it's a no-brainer. Everybody jump in, get you some fish. If one person catch somebody can jump in that spot, cast, boom, wait. You jump back in that spot, boom, wait. When I go fishing at the jetties, I have so much of a good system at the packery. Comparing it to the port A is different. That jetty is long. It's a lot longer than the packery. But if it comes to the packery jetty, I don't make a big deal about people jumping in my spot when it comes to fishing. If the reds are running, they're running. There's no problem. Now, if I'm catching black drum, though, and somebody jump in my spot, then yeah, we might have a little problem there, especially if you just jump right into my spot because you saw me catch a black drum and I know where to get them at because I've been fishing that spot since 2007. So when the black drum are there and I think I know where they're supposed to be at for sure, if nobody's in that spot, I'm going to cast where I know I usually get them at. Now, if you see me pull in 1, 2 black drum and you say, oh, okay, he's on to something, and then you jump in my spot and you deliberately jump in my spot, then that's a problem because it's not like the black drum are hidden like the reds do. It just means I know they're there and I'm just waiting for them to come around and then hit me again. But if I get my second one and you see that and you jump in that spot, then yeah, that's an issue for me and it should be an issue for you because that's rude, so you shouldn't do that. But some people don't care. They will jump right in that spot and they'll act like they was fishing there before you, or whatever. So that's an issue. So that could be a con right there for sure. But the pro side of that is that you are able to get all the fish you want. As far as another con with the jetties, I would say that it's going to be, if you don't have a cart, that's a con, right? If you don't have the cart to reel your stuff, all your equipment, especially if you know you're a heavy hitter. If you know you carry a lot of reels and rods with you, or let's just say you got a family of 5, right? And you know everybody's going to have rods and reels. They're going to have, you're going to have rods, reels, drinks. You're going to have kids, the whole 9. Then you probably need a cart, because a cart makes it so easy. You can put everything in your cart, and if you get the right cart, you can stand all your rods up in it. You put them, you get them out, put them together, season whatever you got to do so the hooks don't hook nobody as you're walking down the path. But you can actually use that cart, put all your equipment in there, walk that cart down to the jetties, and guess what? When you get down there, you can find an opening, right? And then once you start fishing, let's say nothing's happening, you can just wheel up your reels, put them back in the cart and say, okay, let's move somewhere else until we find something that we think where the fish are going to be at. You could do that. Now, the con would be if you have to walk all your stuff down by hand and you get all the way down to the end and you got all this stuff, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to want to keep on having to reel your reels back in, your rods back in, and then have to move all that equipment all up and down the jetties. You're just not, because it's going to get tiresome, especially with the sun out. It's going to get tiresome to you. Kids going to get irritated or whatever. So all this, somebody could be wanting to sit down. Now they got to get up, move that chair, walk it down to another spot, set up again. If you got the umbrella, now you got to break down the umbrella, move the umbrella down somewhere else, set it up again, and all that kind of stuff. So that could be a con, right? So the pro side of it would be always take a cart. That's the most easiest way to do it, because I do it on a regular basis. I go to the jetty, people will say, oh, you leaving? No, I'm not leaving. I'm just moving my cart down to another spot until I find me an opening. That's what I'm doing. So it's easy for me to do that, because if you got the cart, you got wheels, and it's like being in your vehicle, but you pulling it. So you just pull it up and down the jetty until you find the right spot, and you can do that all up and down. But now if I was carrying all that equipment, yeah, that would be bothersome to me. I got to keep on getting all my rod and reels, my bait bucket, my cooler, all that stuff. That's no fun to keep on picking all that stuff up, especially if you by yourself. You got to take your cooler down, set it down, go back and get your reel and rods, bring them back. So you don't want to keep on walking up and down the jetties doing that. Now, the pro to doing that at the surf would be, if you're in your vehicle, you don't have to do any of that. Your vehicle is your cart. Everything is in your vehicle. Your rod and your reels are in your vehicle. And you're going to bring those out only with your reel holders, plop them down in the sand, stake them where you want them to be at, and you're going to put them in the reel holders, and that's all you grab out. Everything else stays in the vehicle. So we're talking about your bait, your cooler. None of this stuff has to come out. The only thing you have to get out is your chair, because you want to sit down, you want to be comfortable. Or if you're the kind of person that wants to sit in your vehicle, you can do that. You can put your vehicle in the direction that you want to sit, listen to some music, and then just wait for the fish to hit and get out your vehicle. Me, myself, I don't like doing it because I'm in an SUV and getting up and down, I don't like doing that. So I grab out my chair, flop my chair down, and that is what I sit in, and I protect myself by lifting up the hatch in my vehicle to block me from the sun, and I just sit right there at an angle where I can see my rod and reels, and if I get a hit, I just walk out to it and I go get them, and that's it. So that is the pro about fishing at the surf, comparing that to the jetty. Everything, my cart is my vehicle, and everything is in there. Whereas if I'm at the jetty, if I don't have a cart, then I have to walk everything down. The pro would be have a cart, and that way you can move up and down the jetty all you want as you like, and find you a spot wherever you think you need to be comfortable at. Because you can get comfortable at the jetty with all your equipment, but if you got that cart, it just makes it so much better. It just does, especially if it's a crowd down there. If it's a big crowd and you went down there, let's say you walk down, the closer you get, you see more of a crowd, and you say, hey, I didn't see all them rods and reels, that's too many. No, I'm not going down there. Well, now you don't have to do anything except spin your cart around, find you a spot somewhere else, boom, plop it up, and there you go. You can start fishing right in that spot. Whereas if you are carrying your stuff, you get now let's say when you can't even fish. You may say, I don't even want to fish here. Now you just walked all that stuff down. Now you got to walk it back and put it in your vehicle, where if you had the cart, all you do is turn around like you wheeled it down, turn around, start wheeling it back, and then go load up your vehicle and move on somewhere else. You could do that. So that's the pro, man, when it comes to using those carts at the Jetty. And the con would be, if you don't have one, then this is all the stuff you have to go through. One of the cons, another con at the Jetty is, if there's nothing biting, then you only have so much of that wall to work with, especially at Packery. If you're at the Packery, you only got so much of a distance to use. Whereas if you're at Port A is big enough, long enough, deep enough that you can find some fish. I rarely ever go down to Port A. I don't mess around with it too much like I used to. Like I said, I got here in 2007, and I fished Port A probably up to like 2014. That's probably the last time that I really ever fished it. But I can tell you, I've never got skunked fishing at Port A. When I learned the Jetty, I've never got skunked. You always catch something at Port A. Guarantee you're gonna catch something. Now, if somebody got skunked, leave it in the comment section or whatever. Only reason I say I never got skunked at the Port A Jetty is because I had a hole that I always fished in at the Port A. I called it the fourth slab at that time. And I knew it like the back of my hand. Reds hung out there religiously. And other people know what I'm talking about. It's called the fourth slab. This is before they set those, before they went back down to Port A and did all that changing. Beforehand, it used to be the fourth slab, and before they went down there and added all that new rock and everything to it, there used to be an area that you can claim that spot if nobody was there, and you can use shrimp or you can use pinfish, and you can just use light tackle, toss it barely out, let it drop down, and there was a hole right in that area. And man, we used to pull some big reds out of there in black drum. They all congregated right along that wall, and we used to wear them out in that spot. And so that's what I mean when I say I never got skunked, mainly because I knew that spot like the back of my hand. And if I could get to it and nobody was there, I always caught something, guaranteed. Packery is different. The Packery, if there's nothing there, it's like the lottery, man. You catching fish as the fish decide to come through. If they don't come through, then you're just going to be out there. And I'm not saying that you won't catch nothing, but you might have to stay out there all day until you do. Or you might have to leave and come back, because I'm not saying that you won't catch anything throughout the day, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of times you can go out there and it'll be like a graveyard, man. It's just dead. There's nothing there at all. No pun intended, but it is what it is. It's a dead zone. There's nothing there. Nothing's happening. You know what I mean? Whereas if I'm at the Jetty, for some reason, the only way I don't catch nothing at the Jetty, if I'm at the surf, the only reason I don't catch anything at the surf is because if it's too bad with the seaweed or something like that, then that's a problem. The seaweed can really get heavy when you're fishing at the surf because it is what it is. It's a surf. The waves are steady moving. They're steady pushing on days like that. When the waves are really heavy or hard or whatever, you can look out there, you can see the seaweed traveling through the surf, through the waves. And when that's happening, that stuff grabs on your line. And when it does, it gets on there so heavy that when you're pulling your line in, it feels like you're pulling in a truck. You know what I'm saying? So you almost have to tighten down your drag, and you're going to be pulling. You're going to reel, pull. So that's the con when that's happening. And when that's happening, you're not running into any fish because there's too much seaweed, and the fish can't even see your bait because all the seaweed and covered up your hook and everything else. So that's a con. But the pro side of it is, like I said, it makes you're in a comfort zone when you first get there, period. It's always going to start off in a comfort zone. It just gets uncomfortable if you can't fish because the seaweed is all over the place. But you can move around. It doesn't mean because seaweed was right here that it's going to be seaweed all up and down the beach. Because I've seen that where I thought seaweed was going to be all over the place. So I just said, man, I'm out of here. But luckily, I stayed along the beach and I just rode it. And then I would see other people fishing, and I would stop and say, hey, man, how's the seaweed? They say, oh, it's not bad, whatever. I say, well, I was down here, and it was real heavy. He said, no, right here in this area, it seems like it's pretty good. So that does happen. It just depends on where you're fishing at with the beach. Like I said, you have a lot of land to work with, and you can just ride that stretch up and down the beach until you find an area that works for you. And I've done that before where I ran into seaweed and then I got out of seaweed. So that's a pro right there. That's a pro to that spot. You can move up and down the beach until you find a spot. Whereas, like I say, with the jetties, you only got so much space to work with. You know what I'm saying? That's it. So what else? I think I covered safety. If I didn't, I go back to that again because that's always important. If you're at the jetty, when it comes to safety, you can always be found if something happens to you at the jetty. Whereas at the surf, something happens to you, people can take it for granted that there's something wrong with you and there's nothing wrong with you because you just don't know. Because people, when they go to the beach, they go there for different reasons and you don't think to stop to see if they're okay. Whereas if you're at the jetty, you know it's obvious. If somebody is stretched out at the jetty on the wall, that means they either fainted, they bumped their head, they tripped, fell, something happened to them. And everybody can tell that's not right. Something's out of place here with that person. Whereas if you're at the surf, like I said, anything is possible unless you're laying at the edge and you got water just going all around your body, and somebody's gonna say, okay, that's not right, that don't look good, something's wrong with that person, let me go stop and check to make sure he or she is okay. 9 times out of 10, they're not. If you laying face down in the surf, then we all know something wrong, something happened to you. Whereas if they're laying out on the beach, you just don't know. They could be laying in their chair and something could have happened to them. You wouldn't know because they're in their chair. And people got those chairs, the lounge chairs they lay out in. So if they're laying out in that, something can happen to them while they're laying in that lounge chair. And that is, you give them their privacy. Nobody walks up on nobody at the surf, fishing the beach, and walk over there and say, hey, man, you okay? That person is saying, yeah, why would you ask? Well, I saw you laid out, so I wasn't really sure. No, I'm just enjoying my day, enjoying the sun or something like that. Whereas if you're at the jetty, if they're laid out 9 times out of 10, you could tell something's wrong. People gonna walk by and they're gonna, you can't help but walk by that person at the jetty, comparing it to the surf. The surf is privacy. People like to go there for peace, quiet, read a book, whatever they want to do, listen to their music, write, whatever, get their thoughts together, and they do it in a quiet setting. So that's what the beach and the surf gives you, comparing that to the jetty. If you're going to the jetty, people can tell something wrong with you. So that's a safety factor. If I discussed that before, I discuss it again because safety is always a plus when you're going out and about to places like this. It's a must. Let's see. Talked about the bait. I think that's it, man. If I had to say anything, I think I talked about losing tackle. That's a con. You do lose a lot of tackle at the jetty. Comparing that to the surf, you don't really lose anything unless something big bit through your line and tore it up or something like that. You can cast off your weight. If you didn't tie it right, you can cast it off. But as far as saying you cast it out and you just let it sit out there and when you reel it in, you hung up, that, man, I never see that happen. Never. That never happened. I've seen it happen with people using those spider weights, though. When they pull and they pop out or something like that, I've seen people break their lines that way with the spiders. So that can happen, I guess, because they dig in deep. And once they do dig in, they can get hard to pull out of it. And I've seen people do that and break their lines as well. But that, for the most part, if I had to say which one was the best, I'm going to say both of them is, because both of them use value for what you're trying to do. If you're trying to say, hey, I know for sure that I want to get into some fish, I don't know what kind, but I know I want to catch some fish, then it's a no-brainer. Go to the jetty. But if you want to say, I want to go target some fish like pompano, for instance, then you're going to say, okay, we're going to the surf because we're going to target pompano today. If you're saying, I just want to go get into some fish, but I don't know what, I don't care what hits, then you can still do that at the surf too, but you have to use your bait right. So if you get some shrimp catches everything 9 times out of 10. So you get yourself some shrimp and you just go for it. If you get mullet 9 times out of 10, you're probably looking for reds because that is the main source fish that really mess around with the mullet a lot. A lot of red will hit the mullet. Every now and then you'll see somebody hit a black drum off cut bait or something like that. But for the most part, when it comes to the mullet, that's what you're actually catching is reds with those. So that's that pro when it comes to the bait of fishing at the surf. Now you can use the fish bites, like I said before, and if you use that electric chicken brand, the electric chicken hits everything. No lie, it does. That whatever it is a shrimp flavored fish bite, and that one grabs everything, hits it that's available at the surf. So even pufferfish, I've hit pufferfish on it, and the pufferfish will hit the sand flea as well at the beach. So that's a plus. Like I said, man, it's just your preference of whichever one you like, but that's enough for me. But I say it like this: if you have a comment or something that you like about if you think about a story you can think about with the surf, and you think about something at the jetty, then put it in the comment section. Or something that you feel that is a pro and a con to you as well that you think I may have let out after you see the video. Hit the like, hit that subscribe, man. Trying to enjoy it, having fun with the videos. And like I always say, fish on, baby. We always say that. The other thing is, not a preacher, but I always try to end it by telling people, man, please try to put God in your life first. I'm not saying put it in where you just have conversation all the time with somebody, because that is something I'm not going to say I don't like it, but I'm just going to say that when people start talking to me about that, sometimes I'm like, hey, I ain't trying to hear all that. I'm trying to fish. But at the same time, I have God in my spirit. I have God in my heart. I do. And I always try to put him first. That way, when I do meet people, that's how I come. I come with peace. I don't come with, you don't look like me, so what you want, or something like that. I come with peace first. Once we start talking, then I'm able to see for myself and think for myself, this person I don't want to deal with. Oh, this person is cool. Love chopping it up with them. Love chopping it up with her. Stuff like that. Conversation is cool. We good. We got peace like that. But, I always try to come with peace first. And then that way, I think that makes an even table. It makes everything even on the table when I come in that spirit. And, that is something I always try to do when I meet people. So with that said, man, hit that like, hit that subscribe. And this is your boy Al, and I'm out. Peace.